Hello and happy Valentine's Day to everyone in the Comms Club. Now, today it made me think, because it is Valentine's Day and we are often finding ourselves desperate to get better clarity and stronger relationships with people, not just with our other halves or a boyfriend, prospective girlfriend, wife, husband, but in all sorts of relationships that we have. But it got me to think, what could I share with you that would help you in situations that we all face? So send me a thumbs up when you watch this, even if it's on replay, or comment below if you've been in a situation where you know that there's something wrong with someone. And it doesn't seem to matter how many times you ask them outright if something's the matter. The answer you always get is, no, I'm fine. No, I'm fine. So this video is about how you can use a slightly different technique to find out why somebody is upset or cross or distant or being a bit offish to you, because we've all been there. Now, sometimes the asking approach is, everything okay? Is something wrong? Have I done something to upset you? It doesn't seem to get traction. And I think the reason that is because people find it very hard to begin a conflict situation. So it's actually really hard, and it takes a lot of courage to say to somebody, I need you to know that you upset me yesterday, or I need you to know that actually the way you behaved towards me offended me last week, or I'm really upset by what you just did. It takes a lot of courage to say that. And whilst we might feel it, people aren't often as comfortable to say it out loud, but they still feel it. And even if they haven't told you that, and they haven't explained why they have got the hump, then it doesn't mean it goes away. In actual fact, in my opinion, it festers, because that sort of ill feeling, it's a little bit poisonous because it doesn't go anywhere. They haven't got it out. So I think what happens is it just swirls round in people's head, and it adds volume, and suddenly when they do end up telling you that you've offended them or upset them, or that what is exactly is wrong with them, it's often further down the line, an accumulation of lots of little things, and then there's the one thing, the straw that breaks the camel's back, and it all comes out. And I don't know if you've ever been in this situation where somebody's telling you that they're upset or offended or have got the hump about something that happened ages ago, and your initial reaction is, why on earth didn't you tell me at the time? And I think people don't tell us at the time because it's not easy to say those words. So when you are in a situation where you think there's something, or you know there's something wrong with someone you love or care about or in a relationship with, and they just won't tell you what it is, I want to suggest you use a slightly different approach. And in these situations, I always think questions are the answer, because if you think you know what's wrong with them, or even a seasoned guess, I think you should try the approach of asking them outright if that is what is wrong with them. Because whilst it can feel a little bit difficult to say, you've upset me because blah, 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 it's much easier when someone says, did I upset you yesterday when I said that? It's so much easier for the person who's upset or offended to say, yeah, you did actually. It's so much easier to answer a question than it is to make a statement. So in these situations, you just pick your question and ask as many questions as you think are appropriate without it becoming some sort of inquisition. But you can just say to somebody, can I ask you a question? Have I upset you in some way? Or you could say to somebody, you seem distant. Are you thinking that us getting together in this relationship isn't such a good thing after all? Or you could say to somebody, did I offend you yesterday when I told your son or your daughter off? Or you could say to somebody, are you sad because I said you couldn't go out with your friends yesterday? Or are you cross with me because I snapped at you? Whatever you think the problem is, ask that as a direct question. Because when you do that, in my experience, you'll only get one of two responses. Someone will either say no, or they'll say yes. Now, if they say no, you have opened the door to for them to tell you what is really wrong. So I see Wendy, you're joining me live. Hello, my darling. Give me a thumbs up if you've ever been in these situations. So if you say to somebody, you know, look, I can tell that something's wrong. Did I offend you when I made a joke about your outfit yesterday? Someone's either going to say, no, it wasn't that. It's just that sometimes I feel when we're out in a group, you're always having digs at me. Or they might say, no, do you know what? It wasn't the joke about my outfit that you made. It's just I'm feeling a little bit low at the moment. Or if you say to someone, look, did I offend you yesterday when I made that joke about your outfit or whatever? And someone might say, yeah, do you know what? It did actually bother me and I didn't think it would. But I think it's because, and they'll go on to tell you. And all you've done in asking that question, you've opened the door a little bit for them to either say, yeah, that is exactly what's wrong with me. And I'm so glad you asked me because it's easier for me to say yes than make the statement. Because people worry about starting conflict situations over silly things. So if you made a joke about somebody's outfit yesterday, they might think, well, it sounds silly if I say to her, look, I need you to know you really hurt my feelings making fun of my dungarees yesterday or whatever. And so people don't mention it because it feels small. But actually, if you can see the reaction is big, it's a big thing to them. And to open the door by saying, look, did I offend you yesterday when I made a comment about your dungarees? Someone can say, you know, it did hurt me a little bit. I'm a bit sensitive at the moment and I know you meant it as a joke, but you know, it's not the first time, and it allows you to then have that conversation. So sometimes the response you'll get when you ask one of these bold questions is yes, you did upset me. Yes, you did offend me. Yes, that did hurt my feelings. Yes, you know, I am sad because you said X, and that's great. Sometimes you'll still get a no. People will say, no, actually, it wasn't that. I'm just feeling this. Because sometimes we misread people and there's always the opportunity that we tell ourselves the wrong story. We see people's behaviour and we think, oh my goodness, that must be about me. I think I've upset them. I think I've offended them, and we panic. If we ask them direct, have I upset you? Did I offend you yesterday? Because you seem a little bit cold or you seem a little bit distant. Someone might say, oh, do you know what? I'm just having a real problem at work and I can't get it out of my mind. In which case you can stop telling yourself that it's your fault and get to the real issue and help that friend, that husband, that wife, that partner, whoever, if their situation. So sometimes when you know something's wrong and you just keep asking, are you okay? Is anything wrong? People understand, people find that difficult to make that statement of yes, what's wrong? So faced with that situation, ask them a question. And my top tips would be, before you take this approach, number one, decide if you actually do want to know. And now that sounds silly, but sometimes we think we've done something wrong and we hope we can just sort of get away and leave enough time for it to kind of ebb off and we never really have to face into it. Because if you ask the question, you are going to get an answer. And sometimes you'll get a yes, you did upset me. Yes, you did offend me. And then you've got to know what you're going to do with that. So first things first, decide if you really want to know the answer to that question. My second top tip is ask the question of the thing you fear most. If you are worried that by telling somebody's child off when they were climbing on your dining room table, you've offended them, don't skirt around the issue. Don't ask them 5 different questions. Ask them the question, look, I'm just wondering if I managed to offend you yesterday when I told Sam to get off the dining room table. Ask them the thing you fear. Have I upset you? Because I know I was short-tempered yesterday. Don't skirt around it. Decide that you really want to know. Ask them the question that you fear the answer to. Ask them the real question you want to know. Thirdly, know what you're going to do next. If that person says, no, it wasn't you, I'm just really struggling with some stuff at work, then know what you're going to do about that. Are you going to say to them, well, look, tell me about it? Are you going to demonstrate empathy and hear them out and help them? But likewise, if they say, yeah, do you know what? Your little dig about my dungarees, it did upset me yesterday. because you seem to do it a lot and I don't know why, but it hurts my feelings. That's hard stuff to hear, but you asked the question. So know what you're going to do. If you have upset someone, be prepared with your apology if it's appropriate. But don't tell someone they're silly. You know, choose your words carefully. You know, it's far kinder to say to someone, you know what, I'm so glad that you told me, because that's not my intention. I would never want you to feel like that. I just thought it would be okay and you would understand it was a joke, but I've misunderstood where the line is and I'm so sorry. I'll promise that I won't do that again. Equally, remind yourself that you can't get the ump. You can't get cross with whatever it is they tell you because you asked the question. Because you know, they can't say to you, yeah, you did upset me a little bit. And you can say, that's outrageous. You should know me better than that. You know, you're too sensitive. You're being silly. Whoa. You know, reel your neck in. There's no room for that approach in these sorts of scenarios because you asked the question, which means you are open for them to tell you the honest truth back. And if sometimes you struggle to hear what it is someone says and you have managed to upset them, offend them, make them sad, disappoint them in some way, sometimes, you know, the best thing you can do is just say, I'm so sorry, that wasn't my intention. Let me reflect on it and let's talk about it later. If you don't feel that you can have a conversation in that moment that won't end in some sort of confrontation, then just park it, take a breath. Okay, well, look, that I thought I might have. I'm so sorry. It wasn't my intention. Let's talk about that later. Let me just think about it a little bit first. Just get out of that conversation and come back to it. But it's a really useful technique and you can use it on kids, adults, parents, anybody. If you think you know what's wrong, find the courage to ask them the brave question because it is so much easier for someone to answer a question than it is to make a statement. So on Valentine's Day, let's learn to clear the air from those icky situations when you know someone's got the ump. Remember that in these scenarios, don't join up the dots to tell yourself a story that could be wrong. Remember that questions are the answer and ask the question that you really want to know the answer to, because clear is kind and unclear is unkind. Let me know what you think about this little gem of a technique. Okay, bye for now.